Hello, 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 and welcome to the ADHD Rewired Coaching and Accountability Programs weekly recap, live and uncensored. We are working on the working title that is getting longer and longer by the day, but we're just capturing that this is an informal chat between myself, Coach Brian Entler, Coach Kristin Marts, and a third point of view that we like to invite from our community, a community member. Today we have Theresa Potter, who is a two-time admin, which is a alumnus of ADHD Rewired Coaching, who has come back 2 times to volunteer as a peer mentor on an ongoing season. How's it going, Theresa?
I'm having a great day. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm very well. How's it going, Kristen?
I'm doing great. Hope everyone out there is enjoying our recordings. We are having a blast doing them and inviting community members in to chat with about the weekly curriculum.
Fantastic. And I believe we are talking about week 3 of our 10-week program, which is lots of good stuff in week 3. But the big first thing is the rollout of our accountability teams
Right.
within our larger session. For folks at home who don't know, we enroll a larger group session where we all interact and we all co-coach each other and we all share. But we also break the people in the groups into smaller sub teams or accountability teams to work more closely with each other on a lot of our accountability work that we introduce over the 10 weeks. And lots of great exercises like daily time tracking, posting our top threes, working on masterminding, which is one of my favorite exercises that we do in the course of the program, and also gives folks a chance to really kind of work on team building and navigating boundaries, which is not really part of the spoken objective, but I think it's really part of the value is that we get to like kind of bring real life situations and dynamics into coaching and really work on them and get comfortable with them. And there's also the getting people more comfortable with the big A word, accountability, which is a
Mhm.
loaded word for a lot of ADHD folks. It can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. And I always like to, whenever we encounter something like that, I like to bring the underlying meaning out of it. So I'm kind of curious, Theresa, the word accountability, especially in the context of our coaching groups, but in general, what would you say your relationship to that word is?
Well, that's so interesting to me that you as a coach are saying that they're like underlying goals. I had no idea that you had underlying goals for it. For me, in terms of my relationship with accountability, it has a lot of really heavy meaning from all of the things that people put on us with people as ADHD in terms of like all of the societal expectations. And I feel like throughout the 10 weeks of ARC, it became a lot more friendly and supportive word of um I learned how to seek out accountability and use supportive accountability as something that I wanted rather than just like being terrified of accountability because I couldn't get anything done. So yeah, it's really interesting.
That's right. My strive as a goal as a coach is like I like to address that word and the underlying meanings properly. Let's take all that baggage associated with that out into the open. But you transition to another term, supportive accountability.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell me what does supportive accountability mean?
I think the first thing is it's less scary and a little bit more accepting that it is something that I want to help me rather than something being imposed upon me that is supposed to be scary. And then the other thing is that's closely related. I'm accepting this and wanting it. And then also it's a tool in order to help me accomplish the things that I want to do so that I can um activate or choose that tool out of my toolbox to use that supportive accountability when I need to get something specific done.
Absolutely. And we're trying to build in our accountability teams is whereas the smaller subgroups, the accountability teams or the A teams, they provide supportive accountability for each other as we move through the 10 weeks, working on out of program, working on the assignments and not assignments, but the work that we do in the program and acting as a judgmental, supportive, almost like a co-coaching role to really support each other in that. And I feel like that takes the power back from the word accountability and we can reframe it in a new way. Kristen, how do you approach rolling out the idea of the difference between accountability and supportive accountability to the people in your sections?
Well, and first, let me dive back quickly. Eric, Eric Tivers created this whole program. He did a presentation on accountability a couple of years ago at the Chad conference. And so we got to see kind of his work in play and in draft mode and then the final presentation. And it really helped me because how we use it here is I know we talk about the responsibility under it. I kept thinking accountability and responsibility are like really, really the same. And he pulls it apart, at least for working with it with your ADHD, and says it's a reporting system, basically. And so I love the supportive piece is that I don't currently have my own A team. I did continue ours from my season for over a year. And then I found one for that somebody wanted to put together for solopreneurs, people who are running their own, self-employed company of sorts, whatever their service is. And that was, it's reminding me now that I am very oppositional even to myself when it comes to accountability because we're not doing the team thing right now. And I'm going, okay, well, I know I can be accountable. I will say I'm going to do it by this date. And I get on the planner and I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to do it. I don't. And maybe I want to go and try to pull up a new A team again for myself because I need that additional supportive piece because I don't like to do it for me, the reporting part. And the responsibility is so heavy. I don't know what that meaning is. You said underlying meaning in the beginning, and it struck me too. I think a little bit like Teresa, the way you answered that. And I'm like,
goal, maybe I bumbled in the language. Under the
well, but I'm
goal,
like, what is my underlining meaning behind all this? What is going on?
Value, the added value. We focus, like the groups are there to focus on like helping each other work and provide accountability, supportive accountability to work on all this stuff that we work on. But it's also such a valuable opportunity to work with other people and do some team building, but figure out roles, figure out boundaries, which is a really important part of work. This is one of our best opportunities to take real life situations. Like we're all going to have to work with other people in real life and how to bring that into the coaching program. So I just feel like it's such a huge added benefit to embrace that. Oh, we have to learn how to navigate around other people's traits and tendencies and have patience when it's needed, and then have certain boundaries when it's needed, but also to ask for assistance, learn getting more comfortable asking for help and for receiving help in the form of supportive accountability. And that's something that many ADHD folks really struggle with. I know I struggled. It's one of the things that I've really worked on since my first season. I started as a coaching member back in season 22. And I really struggled asking for help, asking for supportive accountability, because asking for help for many ADHD folks means being vulnerable, means admitting, okay, I need assistance with this. I'm not equipped or prepared to handle it on my own at this moment. And so many ADHD folks, we have been masking our whole lives, trying to conceal the fact or that feeling that when we feel like we're unprepared or we're not capable to meet the challenge at hand. So just the practice of learning how to get comfortable asking, receiving, and asserting boundaries like that and communicating the kind of help we want, the kind of help we want to receive, and like what to ask for, like so much value in that experience. And it just the network, just that interaction right there in a completely non-judgmental environment with a non-judgmental environment with other folks who have the shared experience. That's where a lot of the magic really, really happens, when folks get comfortable and opening up, not feeling like they have to conceal that part of themselves anymore.
I think I ahaed as you were sharing all this because you said not only giving, the assistance, the advocacy, the receiving. And I think what has been lost without an A team for myself right now is that extra encouragement that comes with supportive accountability. It's like I need to hear, oh, you did do it. For me saying it for myself, that's a challenge because I don't want to receive it. My history is people just say, well, that's what you're just supposed to do. And in here, we embrace and celebrate those kind of wins. And so we get a lot of that through this accountability practice that we do, particularly with our A teams.
Exactly. I think that's what Teresa was alluding to before, that the word
Yeah.
accountability tends to be loaded and negative, but we reframe it in the positive. It's positive accountability. We're like, oh, we're acknowledging the things that do happen as well, because
Mhm.
that coming from another person that you've established a bond of trust with, this person is also ADHD. They understand that experience that I go through, that like, I'm sorry, a neurotypical person is just, they can be supportive, they can be allies, but they can't really understand our
It's not the
experience.
same.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the other things I really like about the A-team structure is because we don't have models for that so much of our day to day, and because accountability is sometimes really heavy, especially for people with ADHD, the A-team structure gives you a really, to use the word structure again, a structured environment in which to ease yourself into it. There are pages and pages of documents about, we know that this is going to feel uncomfortable, so use the steps. We're going to put you into a group that's going to make you not have to go find friends to do all of this. You're in this group that we've built skills together for 2 weeks. Now you have some baseline. You're going to use this process of choosing your one thing. Then you're going to use the mastermind process, and we're going to ease you into it. And it's teaching you to get into this, building these skills that are, so many of us are really have a difficult time with.
Mhm.
And it's really supportive in getting to that vulnerable place. And I think it's really interesting that the three of us who have been through this process, now are speaking so highly of it, because I feel like it comes much more comfortably to me. But I know that I needed that easy step into it at the beginning. If I didn't have that really clear structure, I would have been dropped into a room with people and not have had any idea how to be vulnerable in that way.
It really helped me have some self-awareness around
Yeah.
tendencies. We talk about tendencies and we ask the teams to talk about their tendencies in different situations. And I think initially I was like, tendency to what? The way I text. I mean, we talk about this, when you get sad, do you disappear on everybody? Do you write novels and text? Because we do lots of, written check-ins and those sort of things. And I wasn't sure what all I did, because I've been a therapist and then a dance teacher. That's a lot of alone stuff in the sense of um colleague type work.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I
And
actually frame the role of the co-met team members in an
Mhm.
A team, is that they're not there to take responsibility for whether you do something or not, but they are there to act as a second set of eyes from a
Mhm.
knowledgeable point of view with a shared experience, where they can, like, every time. I'm 100% positive all the people who come into our program want to do all the things, but when we don't, we very often we want to do things, we see the urgency, we understand why it's important, we want to do it, but then somehow it just doesn't happen. That
Mhm.
means something is getting in the way, and it's a blind spot, a trait or a tendency that we are not aware of or not able to grasp. But someone working alongside you who has a shared experience could be that second set of eyes to help you to draw attention to that. And that's really the great thing. It's one of the great dynamics about the A teams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I always was point, it's a big week. We roll out the A teams on day one, and this is where I feel like we're really things start speeding up in week 3. We roll out the A teams in week 1, and on the first day, the second day, we move into our first A team task, which is posting our top threes, which is a form of a simplified to-do list that we post each day with our A teams. And it's an opportunity because I consider ADHD Rewired coaching to be a holistic program. We address all the elements that we think are necessary for ADHD management, including our emotional and spiritual well-being and productivity tools. But we do coach around productivity tools. So the first one we did is the first tool we introduced is a simplified exercise of a to-do list. And this is our opportunity, because take traditional productivity tools like a to-do list and learn how to reimagine them, re-engineer them to work better for ADHD brains. I always like to ask folks at the beginning of the session, is like, where did you learn how to do a to-do list? And almost nobody has an answer. The thing is,
I didn't.
most often we realize we've just been mimicking how neurotypical people use these tools our whole lives, and not really setting ourselves up for success in that way.
And
So
Brian,
yeah,
I would get how my to-do list went was I would get reminded of the things I forgot by people around me.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
wondering for you, Teresa, how does that speak to you? Like how was it for you when you first entered? What was doing a to-do list like for you?
Oh, I don't, mine was like just an anxiety list is really what it was.
So you
A
did
list
have
of all
lists
of
though?
I had like lists and lists and messy lists and they were lists of all the things I was worried about, not anything organized.
Yeah, I thought I could carry everything up here. What was that like for you, Brian, in the beginning?
Oh, in the beginning, I mean, the first question is like, oh, how many to like we do a diagnostic of the to-do list to pull to really make reshift our awareness. It says the first question is, how many to-do lists do you have? And I'm like, well, I don't know. If I look around, I can probably find 3 or 4 of them in different places. Some of them might be a couple years old, and I don't know.
On
But
napkins for me,
yeah,
post-it
exactly.
back of
So
envelope.
it's kind of a hard reframe where like we assume, oh, this is just how you use lists, but like the way we use them is really a reflection of our experience with ADHD, but we might beat
Mhm.
ourselves up for not using them the same way. And then so yeah, it was a eye opener for me for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where are you now, Teresa, with this? You said that was all over the place. They were there were tons, they were messy, and they were anxiety driven or causing more anxiety for you.
Well, I don't know. My answer is a little bit different because I own my own business.
Mhm.
And the thing that I did was I prioritized hiring a project manager. My first hire was a project manager before I hired any other designers. So it is unheard of to have the small business that I have and to have a project manager. And she runs everything for me. She tells me when I forget things. Now, the thing is, it's not that I don't do those things. I still have my one to-do list and I still have my one calendar. But because I know how important those things are, um, I really focus on she makes the company make sure that the company stays together, and because she takes care of the company, she's like my accountability for the company and to my team, and I don't let my personal stuff fall apart because I couldn't let my company fall down for my team. Before it was just people weren't going to get paid and my clients weren't going to get things. So she takes care of everything else that is not my direct work, and my direct work, knowing that she's got all of that, really helps me have that accountability.
That's
And
actually, Teresa, a great share about acceptance and
yeah,
Yeah.
figuring out what to do with that new information for yourself.
Well,
You
exactly. I think
delegated.
bravo.
Yeah, that's
Because
amazing.
we have one of the concepts we introduced early in ADHD Rewired, but it's in every week, is the idea of bending the world to us. Once we
yeah,
observe our traits and accept our personal traits, how do we redesign our environment to work better for us rather than us trying to mimic how neurotypical people do it?
yeah.
And you said right in there, like you were starting a business and it's not traditional for a business of your size to have a project manager
Hmm.
to be the first hire, but you're like, you know what? For my business, for Teresa's business, that is a necessary function. So I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to bend the world to me. I'm going to redesign my environment to work around my traits instead of trying to fit that square peg in the round hole. We're just going to
Yeah,
cut a hole that fits us.
yep, yeah.
So what's your anxiety level these days now?
Um, it is a lot more short term. It is
Oh,
like
I love it. Yeah.
I have a post-it note on my computer monitor that says, when you don't know what to prioritize, go ask Amelie, because Amelie is the project manager. And she
Oh,
Wow.
knows, because when I get overwhelmed and I get really lost in the weeds, and I mean, she doesn't know my personal life and she doesn't know all the little nitty-gritty day to day, but like she knows the big stuff. She knows if you don't do X, Y, and Z, this client is going to be unhappy and we're going to lose the project. She knows this person needs you to send this thing. So she knows the big rocks. She knows the one thing for the week from the company perspective. And she's gonna at least make sure that everything goes.
Yeah, you're
Um,
talking about prioritization, which is one of those executive functioning skills that
yeah,
often we are
yeah, you've
impaired
also
with.
created you've created externalized supportive accountability
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
All
Even
right,
just
you
that post-it note. It's like
Hmm.
externalized accountability. It doesn't even involve another person. So it's
Well,
amazing all the things we can come up with for that.
It took me a really long time to get to admitting to her how, because she's worked with me for about 2 years now, to admitting to her like how much I struggled with this. But I actually it took until last year, about a year and a half ago now, that I had a health crisis and ended up in the hospital for 4 days
Oh,
until
no.
I like really had to let go of everything and just like let my team take care of everything and see how much they could just, um, and that was really a moment of, um, trust, and that was really helpful.
Mm.
Um, so it took me a really long time to get to the point where I'm vulnerable enough to have that post-it note that says, I feel safe enough to say to her, I don't know what to prioritize. Please tell me what to prioritize.
I love you.
Bravo.
You're inspiring me because I lost my virtual assistant and I'm trying to do it by myself again. And it's reminding me maybe I want to go the other direction again. So thank you. So that's wonderful.
Well, I am
I'm
so
so glad you're okay too.
yeah.
Yes, I am.
Thank you for that really great kind of like case study and how to redesign our environments and our businesses and our concerns for ADHD folks. I am noting the clock that we are using for our own purposes to keep to our time estimates, another ADHD coping mechanism or strategy. We have reached the maximum time that we want to set for these sessions, but we could sit here and talk all day. No, we literally could because we have
Yeah, we could.
ADHD, but we are going to wrap it up and we're going to invite everyone to come back and hear us talk about week 4 next week.
Thank you
Thank you,
so much,
Theresa.
Teresa.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right. Good night.
Thanks, Brian.
Good night, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time of day it
That's
is. Where
true.
you're
I've got
listening.
2 Australians in my group. So, good night,
That's
good
fun.
afternoon, good morning. Yeah, I like it all.
Signing off. Have a good day, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.